Hello, I'm Representative Cris Dush. I represent the 66th District, Jefferson, and the northern half of Indiana County. Thank you, Chairman. I truly appreciate you providing this opportunity. And the dialogue needs to be had, and I'm grateful for the opportunity. I'd like to start out with, we, the people of the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania, grateful to Almighty God for the blessings of civil and religious liberty, and humbly invoking His guidance, do ordain and establish this Constitution. That's going to become important here shortly. But there was a temptation for me in preparation for this hearing to rely on my background as a resource protection, crime prevention, anti-terrorism, law enforcement, and security in order to present the type of options to school security that many are talking about and most people right now expect to hear. But with over 30 years in the field, I can state categorically that those do not address the core issue to what we are seeing. What any honest person in the field will tell you is that if there is a will, someone with evil intent will find a way to accomplish their ends. We may be able to design something that will make a person with evil intent look for an easier target. But if the target is what is important, that individual or group of individuals will find a way to harm those it intends to harm. So it's not the equipment, it's not the gun, it's not the bomb. Part of my professional career was in England during the time of the IRA, the Red Army faction, and other extreme socialist organizations who used bombs to target innocents. Dover Air Force Base, RAF Mildenhall in England with the Red Army faction, Vandenberg Air Force Base in California with the federal penitentiary just down the road from an unsecured school as far as it wasn't inside the compounds of the Air Force Base. We had to consider that. And in fact, they had an escapee during a summer break when the kids weren't in school that escaped from Lompoc Prison and broke into that facility. It's something that's of grave concern. And when you have people like terrorist organizations looking for soft targets such as schools, when you have people with evil intent, they are going to look for such targets. Lieutenant Colonel Dave Grossman has written a number of books on combat, on killing. As relates to this, he's got a book, Terror at Beslan, where 1,100 people, 777 children, were held hostage, and eventually 385 were killed. He's also got a book called Stop Teaching Our Kids to Kill. We have to start focusing on the core of this issue, what is causing the evil in men's hearts. Malcolm Muggeridge, a noted English author, had once said that the depravity of man is at once the most empirically verifiable reality, but at the same time the most intellectually resisted fact. We constantly in our society nowadays resist the fact that the heart is fallen. Adolf Hitler is quoted on the outside of Auschwitz. There's a plaque on the wall. I freed Germany from the stupid and degraded fallacies of conscience, morality. We will train young people before whom the world will tremble. I want young people capable of violence, imperious, relentless, and cruel. Our society, our legislature, our local governments, our people in churches, wherever, must confront the fact that there is evil in this world if we're going to save our children. You look at the Boston bombing with just homemade chemicals, things that are off the shelf. The IRA, the Red Army faction, they killed with bombs. Trying to address instruments of the person with evil intent does not address the problem. We have people with psychological issues. Virtually every single person that has been involved with school shootings in the United States has not had a father figure in the house. In my time with the Department of Corrections, my caseload had over 90% of the male inmates did not have a male role model in the home. When I talked to an individual over at SCI Muncie, for the women it's 95%. We have forgotten who we ultimately answer to. We, the people of the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania, grateful to Almighty God for the blessings of civil and religious liberty. President Reagan destroyed the Soviet Union with 2 words: evil empire. The State Department and his speechwriters took that out of his speech in 1983 several times, and he kept inserting it, and he finally gave up and left them just leave it out of the speech, but he put it in there. And guess what? The folks in the Soviet Union, oh my word, the leader of the free world realizes what we are actually living in. That was the beginning of the fall of the Soviet Union. We have a problem with the fact that we have kicked God out of schools. We have a problem with the fact that we think that people are making the false assertion that God is unconstitutional when he's in the Constitution of the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania and almost every other state. Until we realize, you know, it's interesting, Hindus will send their children to a Christian school, and when you ask them about it, why, they'll say, I want them to have a safe learning environment and teach about morals and ethics. We'll do the fine-tuning when they get home. We need to start to allow the old-style teaching, the McGuffey Reader-type books and the others, and start bringing him back into our places of education, and not block him out. At least, if we're going to be fair about this, we've at least got to have the discussion and allow the intellectual honesty as to why he is named, Almighty God is named in our Constitution. Edmund Burke was quoted by President John F. Kennedy that the statement, all is necessary for evil to triumph is for good men to do nothing. This isn't a Democrat versus Republican issue. It's an good versus evil. We cannot sit by and do nothing, and we cannot sit by and be distracted by instruments that the evil people use or the other issues that fail to address the core of what is actually going on. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.